It's not money. It's not, just all the perks. People want to feel like they are making a impact where they are working. That's what gets people excited.
Hey, it's Nikki Llewellyn Gregory, and you're on Gut Plus Science. You're in for a fast paced, storytelling, action item rich leadership growth experience. I hope you make this podcast a habit. I consider it a leadership mentoring tool. Learning together makes us better together, and that is how we change the world around us. Let's get to it. Hey, it's Nikki back on Gut Plus Science. So, leadership today isn't about having all the answers. It never was, right? That's never been a thing, never be a thing. It's about staying adaptable, engaged, and future ready. So important. And it's in a world that's constantly changing. It's going so fast. It's like every day is a new something. And I'm like, shiny object. Does anybody else feel that way? That this is where coaching becomes a real competitive advantage. And today, my guest is Kate Karre. She's a leadership coach who has spent years helping leaders and organizations grow from the inside out. That's such a key thing. I can't say it loud enough. It's like anything you're working on, go to the center, the nucleus. We're going to talk about how coaching builds future ready leaders, drives employee engagement, unlocks innovation, not just as a buzzword, but as a practice. Like people are living innovation. So if you're a leader who wants to scale your impact, strengthen culture, like make the biggest imprint this year and beyond, stick around because we're going to have a lot of fun. Kate, you've chosen coaching as your life's work. I know when we talked before, I was like, oh, this lady is passionate about this. And I'll have stories to share because I hired my first coach in my checkbook at 26. I remember getting my little checkbook out and I was like, I want, and since then it's never stopped. And then I watch my people when we're investing in coaching for them. And it's like, oh my, it's just sky's the limit. Unleashed. I love it. What pulled you in at first?
That's a great question because it's kind of exactly what you just said, experiencing my own experience with coaching. I had hired one to work with a number of years ago and I just had so much value from it. I felt like it was a light that just switched on and I felt like I experienced so much change and just so much enlightenment, both personally and professionally, that I just decided it was something that I wanted to do on my own. And so I went and got I went to school and am working on getting my certification right now.
Oh, I love that. So, do you remember with your first coach, that coaching experience, do you remember the initial ahas or any kind of like profound, like, oh, this is what coaching is? Is there anything coming to you that was your initial takeaway?
Yeah, and I think it's one of the biggest things that I experience right now with clients, and it's that they're not going to give you the answer. So my coach didn't give me any answers, and I don't give my clients any answers. It's about them coming up with the answer. And I think a lot of times as humans, we want someone to help us out and do that work for us. And that's not really what coaching is about. It's about helping the person do the work on their own because they already have all the answers inside themselves and they just need help getting them out.
This gives me chills because I wanted to tell you and share with people my initial coaching session and my homework on my first day. And it's exactly what you just said, but just in a different way. So, why I sought out a coach was because I was growing as a young leader. I was 26 and I was realizing the path. I had found this company that recruited me out. I got my undergrad and graduate in a different realm. And then quickly I was recruited over to do something else. And I was like, where has this been my whole life? Like, this is amazing. And I could just see that I was going to be growing there. And I watched this lady who was the current president of this organization public speak like you could hear a pin drop. I could remember the story. I was 26 and she talked about this cupcake store and the cherry and her dad calling her Laney and blah blah blah. I can remember the story and I sat there and I was like, how would I ever do that? I don't know. Like I was so scared about it. So someone referred a guy to me who's become over the holidays, my husband and I were like hanging out with him and his wife. He's like my grandpa. And his name's Tommy, my coach, and I had my first session and my little checkbook and wrote my check and my first homework assignment when I said, "I'm hiring you for public speaking." but he's like a leadership coach. And he's like, well, the only kind of speaking that we're going to be doing is you're going to go work on who you are and you're going to master a speech about who is Nikki Llewellyn. And I was like, okay. And he's like, trust me, it'll make sense later. And then he gave me all these prompts and it was all about knowing myself, then working on that, whether I ever used it again. I didn't like have a speech where I'm like, let me try about Nikki Llewellyn, but that's how I practiced. And then that was the root of everything that we grew from. It was so cool. So just like what you said, it was so powerful.
Right. Because once you know yourself, it makes the difference, right?
Yes. So Kate, when you think about the state of leadership today, we were talking about moving so fast and all that. What excites you most about coaching impact?
I think it's because there really aren't any limits with it. I know we talk about innovation, we talk about things like efficiency and, maximizing your capacity and all of those things. I think coaching can help with so many different things. It can help with, training better leaders to have better, employees and better team members. There's just so many different things. And I think that's the big thing is you can have coaching on any topic whatsoever and it's going to have a major impact on those specific areas, but you don't have to stop at that one. You can have so many different coaching topics on so many different things, which can just help you level up in general all across the board, which I think is really exciting.
Mm. One of the companies that we work with, that one of the words in their company name is unleashing. And unleashed, it's what kinda comes to mind is, like, your first coaching experience, and you go kind of down a rabbit hole of, like, opportunity, and you don't see a ceiling, and it's like, today, I just hired and not today, but today, I have a new coach that has never been the blueprint of a coach that I've had in the past, and the things that I'm learning now, I just turned 44. I started when I was 26 with the coaching. I was always, like, a learner, right? But, like, what I'm working on today with the coach that I hired about 3 or 4 months ago, it's like, I didn't even know that was a thing? It's just so cool, so I love that you said that. When you think future ready, you had said that when we met before, and, I wanna know, what does future ready leadership mean to you?
I think it means being able to adapt pretty easily to the change in the market. So, my background is also in human resources. And so, a big piece of that is all the different generations that continually come into the workforce, right? I'm a millennial, there's also Gen Z, and getting ready for those individuals and what's going to have the biggest impact from them and also helping to get them going on the right foot. And I think that's a big piece that coaching can help with is that you're always looking towards the future, right? And the people that you're going to be having work for you and with you. And how can you continually grow and adapt as a leader in order to be able to help your team grow and adapt? I mean, think about like things related to AI and how you're going to use that in the workplace. I think it all kind of works together. And I think that's a big piece of it is making sure that you are thinking ahead, both from the technical side and like the software and all of that you're going to need, but also on the soft skills and the leadership skills that you're going to need in order to help get your people there.
I love that. A question just popped in my head. I like this word unlearning. And when we think about really embracing coaching at the highest level, or maybe just getting started, I don't know, anywhere, what do you see that people need to unlearn so that they can do that?
100%. I think the biggest thing that I've learned myself and something that I talk to a lot of my clients about is those limiting beliefs, right? I'm not good at X. It doesn't mean that you're not going to ever be good at X. It's you're not good at it yet, or you're not where you want to be yet. And I think that's a big thing. The saying, I can't teach an old dog new tricks, completely false, right? We can always learn, we can always grow, we can always adapt. And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people need to overcome is that they think that it's black and white, that I'm just not good at this or I'm never going to be good at it. And that's not the case. You can always change. And I would say that's the biggest thing that I had to overcome as an individual, but I think that my clients have also had to overcome as well.
That's good. Going back to what you had shared about your initial coaching experience, and I told you my story, and it's really around self discovery, self awareness, like knowing ourselves. Do you have favorite tools in your toolbox that help you and those you coach with self awareness, or anything that you use to help with that that you really enjoy or advocate for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the things that I had used, and that were also things that we used, as I was kind of going through my course or things that I've worked with clients on. I think one is like looking at the future, right? So it's what do you want? So, kind of like when I have clients fill out an intake form, a big part of that is a year from now or 6 months from now, whatever that coaching engagement is, what do they want? And I want them to get super granular and super specific on it. So, whatever it is that they want to work on, what do they want to be different at that point? And I want them to get so specific that we are talking about whatever topic it might be. How are they showing up? What does their day look like? It could be something related to, if they're managing employees, it could be, okay, what does a typical day look like with your employees? What does a typical one on one look like with their employees? Getting so specific that it's something that I feel like you can see it, it just helps you start to figure out what you need to do to get there.
Totally. Yeah. Vision, right? You got to have that vision. There's been, over the years, I started my journey before I was 26 with the coach in mental health. So I got my undergrad and graduate in mental health and thought I was going to be a therapist. For this thing from who I am built to be. I mean, I don't know how to say that, but it's just not using my best self, because I just thought, "Oh, I wanna contribute and help people." And then after undergrad and graduate school, so I'd been through high school, undergrad, graduate, I took my first assessment tool. Like where you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is me." And that first one was Myers-Briggs. And then I took DISC, and then I did strengths, and then da 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 whatever. And I just think there's so many great tools out there. And now I've used AI to help me still in this journey. When I take a new one, I put it in this GPT. So it's all the different types, like whether it's my astrology or my strengths or whatever. And it's been so helpful. When I was just doing my life planning for this year, I was just updating it to help me make my decisions. And I just want to say, from a like, I think we should be doing those assessments when we're like 7, and it never stops. Like, self-awareness is like an ongoing, like, it's at the top, like, of the most important. So, well, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Have you taken them again to see if they've adjusted? I know some they say don't adjust, but some of them do. You switch a little bit.
I've never had anything go very far, like,
Mhm.
off. Like, for example, disc, the first time I took it, it was the same for I went, like, up, down a little, up a little, and it was up and then down and then whatever. It's just more drastic or dramatic. And I also remember I lost my back in the day they had this strengths finder book, and you got the code for your strengths, and I couldn't find it. And then I took Gallup Clifton strengths, which is like the same thing. And then I compared those, and my top 5 or 10 or something, because there's 34, but it it had shifted a little. Like there was 2 different ones. So I don't think we ever are like completely different. Could we do anything different? Sure. But we level up and we shift a little as we go, but it's pretty much who we are. What do you think?
I would agree. I would say they do shift a little bit because I've taken a couple of them. And actually, when I was looking for a job, I kind of did similar to you, and I put a whole profile together of all of my different profile assessments because I'm like, well, I want my future employer to know who I am, and it's a great way for them to be able to do that. So I created a whole website. They could click the link, they could see exactly who I am, and it was great. But I had one that I had lost, and I couldn't find it, so I was able to take it again, and it had shifted a little bit because I was able to find it later on. It didn't change a ton, but to your point, it did shift a little. And I always thought that that was interesting that, the further you are in your career, you can make specific changes and that self-awareness is different, right?
Yeah. And so just like to reiterate, continue doing some of the things you did before, because you want to see like those leveling up, and then why? wait a minute, why are those two words in here now? And then you look at it and you're like, oh, there's deeper understanding. And then you just said something so profound because it's tying into where I wanted to go for a second. You said, when I was looking for my next opportunity, I did this work and presented this to them. In today's world, the younger generations are in the driver's seat, like so loudly because they have all of these tools that are, I don't know, the word coming to me right now is supernatural. It's just like, you all the things right at your fingertips, right? And coaching, that's going to be an expectation, right? And so we not only have to meet people where they are coming in that are brilliantly using technology, but there's not like, hey, do you guys provide development? And if the answer is kind of or no, it's like goodbye, right? Are you seeing that?
Oh, 100%. And people want it to be very individualized too. And that's where coaching is great because you can have very individualized goals because coaching is not one size fits all for everyone. And not everyone is looking to do the same thing. And I think that's huge. And I think, especially with these folks that are brand new to the workforce, that's what they expect, right? Like they had a lot of that in school. And I think they also expect that in the workplace. They want to be able to grow, they want to be able to develop. And so, what are employers providing? And you will see more and more often that coaching is starting to make its way into an employer benefit and or an employer development, which I think is really exciting.
I just think it should be. It just should be. And watch your talk about unleashed, right? When you're investing in the people and they're just growing and it's like, just get out of their way, right? Like just
Exactly. Let them do their job and just watch them explode. It's amazing.
well, and going back to what we said about our coaching experiences in the beginning, it's about knowing yourself and self-awareness. It's the same thing for a company that when a company, the vision, they know who they are, they know the core values and all that. It's like then we're applying coaching on top of the DNA of the company, and then people just like, we're all on brand and we're shooting to the moon.
Right.
So, really
Exactly.
cool.
Where the company's vision is as well. And as long as the company knows where their vision and where they're going, and employees know what their vision is and where they want to go, they can then see what kind of impact they can make. And I don't know about you, but the more that I know that I can impact an organization, I know that I am doing something that is directly impacting the direction of the company. It's where I feel really excited about wanting to do things. And that's what gets people motivated. It's not money, it's not, just all of the perks. People want to feel like they are making a impact where they are working. That's what gets people excited.
Well, and right there is touching on that is employee engagement, right? So, kind of like when leaders will be like, well, how does the coaching tie to the engagement? Like, I don't want to lose people. I want them to be more engaged. And I want to see our scores get higher on our engagement assessments or whatever. That, right? Did you have anything else to add there with like what that looks like?
Yeah. I mean, I think to your point, I also see companies that, and I think this sets companies apart where they understand that they are maybe not the long term place for an employee, but they are willing to invest the money to help them improve now, but know that they are then also helping them in their future career. Some companies they understand that okay, I'm investing in you and this might get me 1 to 2 years of you, and then you might outgrow us and you might move on, and that's okay, right? You're still getting an ROI as an organization by investing in that for the time that that person is with you. So, I think a lot of companies are gonna start seeing that it's okay to do that. And it's okay not to wait and only provide those benefits for the people who've been with you for a long time because the work environment isn't going to change. People are going to continue to be changing their roles and their jobs and the companies that they go to. But you need to treat them as though they are part of that from day one and as long as they are employed with you. And then if they choose to make a change and go off someplace else, you need to wish them well and congratulate them and know that you helped get them to that next step.
Mm, I could not agree more. And there's just no way around that. Like, I think the statistics are 2.9 years is the average tenure now. And there's generations that they were like, I retired at 51 years in, and that's okay. If it works out that way, that's okay, but don't make that the expectation. And just knowing that, I mean, at the end of the day, the company needs to know the ROI of the role and set the expectations. So you're hiring because this person has a job to fulfill and you know what it's going to do. So whether or not you're the step or the stair case, right? Just embracing that. I think a lot of people need to just sit with that, right? Because some people struggle. They're like, but if we're going to invest in you, then you need you're like, we've got handcuffs on you or something. And it's like, it's just not that, right? And it'll all come back.
Exactly. Yes. I think of it as karma.
I think of it as karma too. Yeah. Yes. So let's talk about innovation and let's look at the old way, kind of like the 51 years in for a second. And you talk about the new way. So innovation comes to be, and companies have innovation on their forefront. And it's like, John does innovation. Or next year, it's going to be Susan too. We have John and Susan, right? And that's so cool to have innovation leaders, but it is a collective. Can you talk more about coaching and innovation?
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit where people have such limiting beliefs, right? And they also are very set in their way of doing things. So I think it's once something is done a certain way, people think, "Oh, well, if it's not broke, let's not fix it." And it's like, "Well, there could be better ways to do things." And so coaching can help you dig through and figure out what those things are. And I think that's where it can kind of help with that innovation. So what are the things that people see are problem points? What are the ideas that people have? And what are the things that maybe are currently going well, but is there a way that they could be going even better? So I think coaching helps by really digging in and asking those questions and helps that person maybe look outside of that box, right? And be able to look at something from a different perspective because that's really what coaching is about. It's about helping that person mirroring what they are saying and understanding, but then also bringing up additional things for them to consider, but I don't know what's going on at that company. So me as the coach, all I can do is I can ask good follow-up questions. I can ask thought-provoking questions. I can ask for more detail. So then that person is the person that has the insight and the knowledge, and they're the ones that can then say, "Oh, well, we haven't done this, or we've done X, Y, and Z, but we haven't done A, B, and C." And then they can come up with additional things.
I love that. I want to know the best advice that you would give to a leader who has a direct report that is new to coaching or has a new coach. And like, let's say the leader, even for more context here, maybe that direct leader, like of this department who has this person reporting to them with the new coach or the new coaching, they weren't the ones that made the decision for the coaching program. Okay. But their person that directly reports to them, they're transforming. Right. So, like, what is it that you've learned about how to give the best advice for that leader leading the person that's new to coaching or has a new coach?
To be open-minded with it and just to jump in. I think that's the biggest piece. I think when people feel like it's a requirement, I don't know about anyone else, but I am extremely stubborn. So if someone tells me to do something, I really don't want to do it. But if someone allows me the opportunity to do something, and it's something that is different for me, or it's something that is going to help me both at work and potentially personally as well, I get excited about it. So I think there's a way to approach it and not tell someone to do something, but approach it as an opportunity for them. And I also don't think that coaching is ends up working out great if someone is mandated to do it. I think it always works out better if the person is interested in it. You're just going to have better results. So I think that's a big piece. I know that there have been plenty of companies that have basically said, you know, sometimes with performance that someone has to get coaching. That can help someone turn around and that can help someone improve. But I always find the best is when that person is genuinely interested in it themselves. So I think that's a big piece as well is not to ever force it, but to provide it as an opportunity and give that person the opportunity to then self select.
Yeah, that's so good. I was thinking about times where I was the leader of people in either a brand new coaching experience or a new coach or something. And the thing that I started to learn was just step back and watch what unfolds with their coach because they're working on all the things that we're working on to move the business forward. And as much as I think my ideas are the best things since sliced bread and everything, like, it's like, let's just see what unfolds there because when they come to that lunch or that Zoom meeting, they're on fire to present this idea. They're like, I've been so excited. I've been working on this. And more than anything, I'm like, I don't even, first of all, just seeing that excitement is awesome. And it's just really neat. And when you just step back and let them present it to you and you're really just guardrails and feedback, it's a really cool experience for the person leading.
Exactly, because then you get to see that person, I feel like, in a different light. And it just helps you kind of see them more for who they are versus sometimes that facade that we show up at work with.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so transformation is really the core of coaching, right? Um, Can you share a story that illustrates transformation or maybe share some like aha moments that came up like as you're watching transformation happen? You're like, and this, like these happen, just like bring it to life.
One of my clients that I had, it was very interesting because it was very much a light bulb moment. And when I'm doing my coaching sessions, I tend to do them on Zoom. And I could see literally visually her face just have that light bulb moment, which as a coach is super exciting for me. We were working on essentially, she was looking to be promoted in the company that she was at. And it was something that she'd been working on for a while, but with her and her manager, they just weren't communicating in a way that she felt like she was making forward movement. And so she really wanted some help on that. And so honestly, a lot of it was letting her own development. That was a big piece of what we were working on is that she's not just waiting for her manager to do this. She needs to own it. And how can she own her development? And so helping her work on how she can work with her manager to essentially drive that. And it was so exciting to see with some of the things that I was saying. She's like, "You mean I can do that?" And I was like, "Yes, that's exactly what they want." Your leaders don't want to have to drive that. They want employees to drive that. And so she was so surprised by some of what I was saying. And it was just these light bulb moments. And like I said, her facial expressions, it was just great because it just was like this awakening that she just didn't realize that she had the power to do these things. And she had the power to kind of go back to her manager and ask these very specific questions. And as soon as she started doing it, even her manager said that there were some very big turnarounds that he was seeing, which was really exciting. And so she ended up getting promoted later on, which I thought was fantastic. And it just was, as a coach, those are the things that get you really excited, right? Seeing the impact that you're having on helping someone else develop their career.
Just made me think of something going back to the question like, how do you best give advice to a leader that's leading someone that's going through a new coach or first time coaching or whatever? There's something so powerful about permission. Whether the person comes to you and they're like, oh, I can do that, or you trust me with that, or if you could even be proactive and say, now, hey, on this coaching journey, I know you're new to this or like you haven't done this a whole lot, but I just want to tell you, I am here to we're just working collaboratively and the answer is yes. Like whatever and we will talk about it, but that permission thing it's interesting and I can feel it when you said it. I'm like that is a huge piece.
It is. And a lot of people feel like they don't have permission to do some of these things. And that I would say is another big piece that a lot of people tend to overcome in coaching is feeling like things are happening to them versus them owning the direction and then owning the result.
Yes. So good. Well, we got to head over to our lightning round where we're going to get to know a little bit more about you and we'll make sure that everyone knows how to get in touch with you. This has been so great. I can tell you are built for this. And the really cool part is that you come from HR, so you've got the other side of it. Hello, hire Kate Karre. Like, that's incredible. All right. So, our lightning round, we do this little fun thing just to get to know the personal side of you. So, just like real quick answers because some of these things I'd want to like talk about for like an hour because they're so intriguing. But the first one is simple. We ask for your favorite book of all time or a favorite recent read, and we add you to our list of all the guests that have ever been on. They share their favorite book. What's yours?
Oh, awesome. My most recent favorite book is one, I actually started following him on LinkedIn. It's by Jefferson Fisher. It's called The Next Conversation. Very interesting book.
Okay. I'm not familiar with the author or the book, but now it's on the list. So I heard from a little birdie that you experienced very meaningful work. You had a time period in Nashville, Tennessee, and you lit up talking about it. Tell us more.
Yeah. I originally, when I was in college, thought that I wanted to get into the business side of the music industry. And I decided that I was going to try to find an internship in Nashville. And I did. So I got one down in at Capitol Records down in Nashville, which was really exciting. The funniest part of it is the reason I got the job is because my boss, who I reported to, was also from Wisconsin, which is where I'm from. And there's the whole Midwest work ethic thing. And so that was the whole reason she's like, "Oh, you're from Wisconsin, you're hired." And so I went and I worked a summer down there. It was fantastic.
That's so cool. And those dynamics are so real, right? Relationships and yeah, how we connect with people. That's why we do the lightning round.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so you took yourself on a trip for a big celebration. I so admire this. Will you tell us where you went and what was the celebration?
Yes. So I went to Paris, France, for my 40th birthday. It was a big trip. I've always wanted to go to Paris. It's a bucket list trip that I've been wanting to take for forever. And I turned 40 last year and decided that then was the time. And I am someone that is not about to wait for someone else to go along with me. So I took myself and it was a great time. Had a blast eating all of the Parisian food and going to all of the museums and shops and everything. It was fantastic and it's definitely a trip that I will never forget.
Whenever I see a macaroon, no, I'm saying it wrong. What are they called?
The Macron.
Every time I see them, I think Paris. I'm like, nowhere could beat Paris on those, you know? So good. They're so incredible. And it doesn't stop there, folks. She's booking herself another trip and she is not waiting very long. Tell us what's coming up and when.
Yes. So for my 41st birthday, I decided I'm not waiting until another milestone birthday. I decided to take myself to Italy. And so Rome is the biggest destination that I'm going to while I'm over there. So I'm really excited. So another solo trip coming up later this year.
I love it so much. So, Kate, this has been so fun. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, loved all of the takeaways, and I so encourage people to think about this for yourself, for your people you lead, for your brother, for your sister, like advocate for the coaching because it just really transforms a life. It's really, really powerful work. What is the best way for people to follow up with you to reach out, if they want to ask a question or get a resource or whatever?
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Kate Karre. Last name is Karre.
Awesome. Hey guys, we'll see you next time.
We just left the world a little bit better. Now, go do something with it.